Hey everybody, hope you're doing well. This is my first video for my 75-gallon saltwater tank. I decided I'm going to start keeping a reef in my house again, a little slice of the ocean. And I've been spending a couple of days setting up this 75-gallon system over here. And I thought I'd give you a little tour of the tank and what it has. And this is a 75-gallon tank that I bought off of Craigslist from a Armenian what do you call them, discus breeder. And it's a really old tank, and I recently got it drilled. I wasn't sure if it was even possible to drill it, but I took it to my local fish store and they drilled it for me over here. Luckily the glass wasn't tempered, so he drilled an overflow over here for me. This takes the water from the top display tank down to the sump, which is on the bottom. I'll show that to you later. It's got a handy little ball valve over here. I think it's a ball valve, but that controls the flow. It's pretty quiet. And here is another spot where he drilled, which is for the water that returns into the display tank. And you see there's a nice little adapter thing that shoots the water out. So the water is a bit cloudy right now because I added about 40 pounds of sand, and that clouded up the water a little. And here I'm working on my aquascape, which is just a word for the design of the rock over here. It's called live rock, but it's not quite live yet because we're still waiting for the bacteria populations to populate it and to make it live. So this is 75 gallons. It's a 4-foot tank, and I also had the guys at the fish store paint it and plumb it and do all of that. You could do that yourself, but I wasn't. I tried painting it before, and I wasn't using the right paint. And this time I decided I'm just going to let them do it because I was just dealing with a lot in my life. Over here I went with kind of a cheap route, an older route. I know that everybody's moving over to LED fixtures for lighting, but I thought I was going to go with something that I find pleasing, which is T5 lighting, which is fluorescent high output lighting. And I've been following a lot of guys in their tanks and such, and one of them recommended, he has a whole greenhouse and a company, and he recommended this light, which is like a hydroponics light. It's not exactly perfect for aquariums, but I mean it gets the job done. I'm going to test it out, and I think it'll work properly. At my local fish store, the guys are professionals, and they take care of their corals, and they usually have everything under. I mean, they have LEDs, but they have things growing under 2 bulb T5s and 4 bulb T5s. So I trust them. They got great results, and I'm gonna give this a shot and see how it works. I mean, too much light can cause photo inhibition in plants and in corals as well. So we'll see if this will be enough to grow things. I've never hung anything up from a fixture, any fixtures from the wall before, but this is what I did over here. I got these really cool hooks. They're called swag hooks, and they got little toggles that they can be installed into a ceiling beam, or if you don't have it, they have the necessary pieces where they got a toggle and it can sustain the weight. So that's it for the top part. I'm still trying to figure out what I'm gonna do here with the aquascape. Nothing is really permanent yet. We got some lids over here. I wasn't sure if I wanted to have any lids because I want to make sure that I get maximum light penetration here, and it adds to the maintenance. This is the old lid that came with the aquarium. The guy that sold it to me only had one, so I had to go get another one here from the store. My local fish store, it's Pet Connection in Livonia on 5 Mile Road. Those guys are fantastic. They're amazing. There's the overflow box. You can see basically that's where the water goes in and enters those tubes and goes down into the sump on the bottom over there. So I want to show you my setup over down in the sump. So here I'm going to try to open it, but I can't because it's locked. I child-proofed it so that my kids can't get into there and hurt themselves or the system. So this is magnetic. You just pass a magnet here. I don't know if I can do this single-handedly. Yes, I can. All right. Oh, I gotta do it to the other side too. So there you go. Here is my sump. I seem to be getting a lot of reflection here, but for the first time ever, I dropped my phone, and here I installed some lighting, which is just some simple LED pucks. You just press on them. They're battery operated, and you have light in your sump area so that you can like focus on working and stuff. So let me turn that top light off just to get rid of that annoying glare, and I'll show you what I have down here. So let's start with the return lines, or the overflow lines right there. They bring the water from the display tank into this chamber over here, through here, into this device called a protein skimmer. First protein skimmer I've ever had in my life. And it's not quite working yet. I mean, it is a little bit. It generates bubbles here, it carries all the lipids and fats and proteins up through the water column and takes them out and deposits them here in this collection cup. And then you can take this collection cup and throw it out. So make sure that these things don't break down in your water and make your water toxic and an algae factory. You don't want to give the algae an opportunity to get a foothold, and you want to make sure that the water's pristine so that your coral and fish live happily ever after. Over here we have the electric everything, all the plugs and everything. I kind of raised them up and drilled them and hung it up over there. But that was before I moved the sump over to here. It was actually a little bit more to the right. So I'm gonna have to move that because I don't want any of these things falling into the water. But they won't fall. This is very sturdy. This is secure. But this little thing over here isn't. So I kind of zip tied it to this thing right here to make sure that it doesn't fall in. Right now I have some rock in here. This is just temporary. This isn't ideal or typical. I just have it in here for it to cure and cycle, and then later on I'll be transferring it up to the display tank. Over here we have a little bit more rock, but nestled between the rock, this is temporary of course, I'm not keeping the rock there, but nestled between the rock is the return pump, which is an old reliable pump. It's a mag pump. It's an AC pump, so it's kind of noisy. You probably can hear the sound of it. Well, I wanted to spend on some other things, so I just got this temporarily until I get a better pump, and this will serve as a spare pump later. If this pump fails, you need some redundancy in the system. So over here you see this big fancy device, this tube right here. This is the UV sterilizer. I haven't connected it yet. I mean, the bulb is there and everything, but I haven't powered it up because I'm still cycling the tank. I'm waiting for the bacteria populations to get settled in there in the rock, so I don't want to kill anything. So that's there just in case. It's an added redundancy feature to make sure that the populations of fish are okay. If I accidentally somehow introduce a fish that has a disease, this thing will hopefully eliminate the chances, the probability that the other fish in the system will also contract that disease, giving me enough time to transfer the diseased fish into a hospital tank where we can treat it, hopefully, and cure it without having a huge disaster on our hand. Over there I have my auto top-off system, which is just the Chinese cheap system, but it's a pretty good system. It's reliable. I have the Italian version too, which is also good, but this is a really neat auto top-off device. Basically what it does is adds fresh water as your water evaporates. Unlike freshwater aquariums, saltwater aquariums have to be topped off. You can't add more salt water to it. So as the water evaporates, the salt stays, and so it gets concentrated and concentrated and concentrated, eventually hurting your animals and your corals and everything. So you have to make sure that water level is stable. So this device over here, it measures the water level, and as it drops, it triggers a pump in my freshwater reservoir and causes it to pump fresh water in, maintaining that water level consistently. My job is to make sure that the pump and the device and the sensors and everything are well maintained, and that this reservoir is always full of water. I don't have any fancy reservoir. I just have this like little rice container I rinsed out, and I put my pump in there. I have over there in the back a power consumption meter. That's pretty much the last thing in the system over here. It's just gonna give me an awareness about how much energy I'm consuming, and hopefully with that awareness I can find ways to maximize the effectiveness of the system without having to expend too much energy. We want to keep it sustainable. We want to keep it safe. I will be adding some redundancy features. Last thing, I have just a submersible heater there to maintain the temperature. I don't know if I'm going to be using that, maybe changing it, but that's it for now. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll update you on what comes next.